Welcome to this edition of Concordia Reports. I'm Amri Moga.
And I'm Nyla Jinnah. On today's show, we remember our veterans.
Also, part 2 of our series on technology integration in the classroom.
And later on,
they dredged this black stone, removed it, and placed it in the burial area.
Today we're at the Roxborough branch of the Royal Canadian Legion to mark Remembrance Day this upcoming Sunday.
On November 11th, we remember the sacrifices made by our veterans in the wars of the past, but this month is also important for today's soldiers abroad. As the holidays approach, soldiers long to be close to home and to their families. That's why this branch of the Royal Canadian Legion is sending them care packs from home. Meticulously sealed on all sides, these care packs are filled with goodies, like this stack of candy a West Island dentist bought off his patients after Halloween. But often, the biggest treats are the bare necessities. Female hygiene products are hard to come by in Kandahar, but wet naps are a real luxury, according to program organizer Sarah Briere.
Because it is very hot there, their canteens of water for drinking, so wet wipes is something that they definitely appreciate receiving. Hand cream, it's very dry. These are little luxuries that will make their day-to-day a little easier.
The Legion packed 3,000 boxes, each of them containing a very special note from children from elementary to high school, a letter from home.
They're very important. That's who they're working for, that's who they're protecting, and what can put a smile on someone's face more than a drawing from a child.
Some children even got in on the packing. And once the toilet paper is in, and the hockey caps too, getting the boxes ready for delivery is a true accomplishment.
It's a hard time to be away from family Christmas time. So I just want them to realize that the Canadians are standing behind them, we support what they're doing, and we appreciate everything they've done.
Mission accomplished. And if you're wondering why the care packs are being sent now, that's how long it takes for them to get to Afghanistan in time for the holidays.
Well, back at home we're fighting a different kind of war, the war on gas prices.
Filling up is just as expensive as ever, despite the Canadian dollar's recent increase in value. Oil companies make their profit regardless, so it's up to the consumer to remain vigilant. The best way to predict expensive prices is to check out gas stations before going to sleep. Some stations will increase their prices at night instead of the following morning, so when you notice a large discrepancy, it's time to fill her up. Websites like Gasoline Watch and MontrealGasPrices.com offer historical price charts. Interestingly enough, in the past 6 months, all the price peaks occurred from Monday to Thursday. The weekend seems like the best time to load up the tank. Wherever you might find yourself, spend wisely. We must all do our best to fight the war against outrageous gas prices.
You can do your own investigation on gas prices at www.gasolinewatch.com.
Working for yourself is the dream for many university students. The pressure is on to find a job after graduation, but not everyone feels the need to work for someone else. Marissa Polowitz talks to local entrepreneurs about being their own boss.
For Olive Orange Catering co-owner Pascal Daucher, going into business for himself is in his blood. His restaurateur father had told him from a young age that owning your own business was the only way to survive.
Well, just the only way, I guess, to make money and be, successful for him.
But owning his own company didn't originally turn out the way he had hoped. After one failed attempt, he feels he now has the experience he needs to succeed.
Worked for another company. I just wanted to go out there, and a lot of people told me, oh, you should go work for a company first, get some experience and do that. And I was like, no, I just want to do it myself. And basically, it hurt a lot.
He has taken valuable lessons with him on the journey to becoming a successful entrepreneur.
And this one, we went no debt, no financing, basically. Basically, we did a catering, made a bit of money, and bought some more staff, and the next catering, etc. While the first one, we borrowed a lot of money.
As the company enters its third year, the business is finally taking off. From the rental of a commercial kitchen to being able to take a vacation, the hard work is starting to show. But not all startup businesses are as lucky or as profitable. Jonathan Aslan started his business Dogstar over 6 years ago. His dog Java is the inspiration for the business, which designs original handmade leashes and collars for dogs.
I was convinced that it was a good idea, and if I worked hard enough that it could take off, but I learned a lot about, the business has to sustain itself.
After 6 years of hard work, he is still working out of a small workshop in his Verdun apartment. Despite the income from Dogstar, he still has to work other jobs in order to make ends meet. But does the lack of financial success bother Jonathan?
Very little to do with money. It's got to do with doing something special.
For Pascal, success can be described as none other than
Delicious.
For Concordia Reports, I'm Marissa Polowitz.
We'll be right back after this.
Our ships were named after little places here in Canada. And we were named the Humberstone, which was a little place down on the Welland Canal. And all the ladies down there were sending us what we used to call ditty bags. They'd send us that practically once every month, and it would be filled with chocolates and soap and everything that we needed. It was very nice.
Welcome back.
Mehdi Mera joins us now for an update on the mission in Afghanistan. Mehdi, when Defense Minister Peter MacKay was in Kandahar this week, he was bombarded with questions regarding the situation in neighboring country Pakistan. How will the Pakistani instability affect the mission in Afghanistan?
Well, Nyla, Peter MacKay arrived in Kandahar on Sunday. This visit was cut short yesterday when insurgents fired rockets on a convoy carrying Defense Minister Peter MacKay. MacKay's visit was based on two things. One, to applaud Canada's military and reconstruction success within the Provincial Reconstruction Team, if you like, the PRT, in Afghanistan, and two, to condemn the state of emergency that has been declared in neighboring Pakistan. On Sunday, General Pervez Musharraf beefed up security within and outside Islamabad. He went on to shut down TV and radio stations. He declared a state of emergency. But according to Musharraf, this move was aimed at deterring terrorism, meaning that remnants of Al-Qaeda fleeing the threat from Canadian troops end up in Pakistan to regroup and launch fresh attacks on Canadian troops.
Now, the instability on the battlefield is being reflected within the mission itself. Canada's Chief of Defence Staff, General Rick Hillier, is very outspoken, and that has gotten him in quite a bit of trouble with the Conservative government.
Well, on a visit to Afghanistan last week, the Chief of Defence Staff, General Rick Hillier, clearly stated that for Afghan troops to be able to take care of security issues from Canadian troops need to stay longer than stipulated or than the specified date of pullout, which is in 2009. But during a press conference this morning, General Hillier says he has no apologies to make to the Canadian government for the statement he uttered in Afghanistan last week. But critics of the government are sharpening their mouth and ready to punish the Harper government on any decision that would come in the House of Commons within the next couple of months to prolong the Canadian mission in Afghanistan to any future date.
Thanks, Mehdi.
Technology is drastically changing the classroom landscape. The Eastern Township School Board is in its fourth year of a project that provides students with their very own laptops. With more on how teachers at one school are adapting, here's reporter Derek Allen with part 2 of our series on how technology is affecting the classroom.
To many, this looks like the classroom of the future. But this is just a normal day of school for kids at Knowlton Academy in the Eastern Townships. Along with the laptops, Knowlton now has 10 smartboards to complement them. These are essentially touchscreen whiteboards. They allow teachers and children to manipulate them with the tip of their finger. First-year teacher Linda Miro has made both these technologies an integral part of her early teaching career.
Math, just for instance, math, their textbook is now in PDF form on their laptop. So the minute they come in, that's the first thing that opens up. Geography, science, we're always using our laptops. I mean, it's used throughout the day.
In his 35th year of teaching at Knowlton Academy, Doug Harvey admits the laptops had him skeptical at first.
There are times when, let's say our internet is down or whatever, or you plan a lesson using the computers and the servers down, or you can't get online. That is extremely frustrating as a teacher because teachers have to be organized, and we don't like not to be organized, and sometimes these things are out of our control.
Despite the controversies, each year more and more schools are giving laptops to their students. Now, there is a reason for that. If used properly, these technologies can be a tremendous resource for the students and teachers.
Well, obviously you have like your Word documents and your Excel and stuff, but there's other programs like Word Art and stuff that you can like make different pictures and stuff. And
12-year-old Tyler Murray's mastery of the technology is showing exactly why many teachers are saying it has an important place in the classroom. Harvey is still concerned about what these new technologies may mean for traditional skills like writing.
The kids don't write anymore. It's funny, the other day I write on the board and one little guy says to me, I miss that class. I don't know how to read cursive writing. So I kind of chuckled to myself. All they do is print. They don't write. But maybe down the road they won't have to write. I don't know.
Being straight out of university, Miro is more convinced about which skills the children need nowadays.
You know, the world of today is shifting so that rarely do people actually use a pencil and paper anymore anyways. We work on their typing skills here. You know, so that they can actually, because when I was in university, never was a professor allowing me to hand in a paper handwritten. It had to be typed. So these kids may not have the best handwriting skills, but they have really good typing skills, which are going to come in really handy later.
For Concordia Reports, I'm Derek Allen.
Thanks, Derek. You know, that's actually Derek's elementary school. And while we were there for the story, one of his old teachers pulled out a picture from way back in grade 6.
Aw, you're so cute, Derek.
Coming up,
3, 2, 1, go.
the Quebec government unveils Remembrance Highway.
A lot of people were killed, not just in the services, but civilians as well. But for the people that fought for freedom, as we say, yes, deserve to be recognized. And that's the only way they're going to be recognized, I think, by having a special day for it. Other times, people might just pass you by and they don't even recognize it. Well, I mean, you know what the modern generation's like today. They sort of, okay, so it happened. How many years ago?
Welcome back to Concordia Reports.
This summer, the Ontario government renamed a portion of Highway 401 from Trenton to Toronto the Highway of Heroes. And on Tuesday, Quebec followed suit. It's to honor veterans like these that the Quebec government established Autoroute du Souvenir and to remember their sacrifice.
To never allow them to be forgotten and to not let the passage of time allow us to forget. 3, 2, 1, go.
A brilliant red poppy will be featured on all road signs along the stretch. Remembrance Highway covers the portion of Highway 20 from the Turcotte Yards to the Ontario border.
Canadians honor their veterans in very visible ways, whether it's red poppies or ceremonies all across the country. However, some tragedies aren't so vividly remembered. With a special report on a different kind of remembrance, here's Kelly Taylor.
Every day, thousands of commuters make their way down Bridge Street on their way to Victoria Bridge. Just meters away from the bridge, a black boulder sits unassumingly on the concrete divider. It's likely most of these commuters have little idea what this rock represents. They might be shocked to know that it marks the spot where 6,000 Irish immigrants were buried in a mass grave 160 years ago in 1847. The grave occupies a large surrounding area, including the casino parking lot adjacent to Bridge Street. And it is estimated that the bodies lie a mere 10 feet below street level. Don Pidgeon is a historian in the Irish community and was head of a committee charged with restoring the grounds around the rock in the 1990s.
Around 1859, when the Victoria Bridge was in the position of being built, the contractors and the workers found all these bodies buried underneath. And of course, the story of the tragedy of 1847 came about. While dredging the St. Lawrence River in the building of the Victoria Bridge, they dredged this black stone, removed it, and placed it in the burial area, the cemetery area. And this was the beginning of the fact that, there was a cemetery.
The tragedy he's talking about is the Great Famine that devastated Ireland in 1847. Overnight, entire potato crops would be destroyed by disease, and at the time, potatoes were the sole sustenance of the poor Irish. When they couldn't pay rent due to their failed crops, they would be evicted and left to starve, homeless. It is considered to be the greatest tragedy of 19th century Europe, with approximately 1 million deaths and millions leaving the country. Hundreds of thousands of these people came up the St. Lawrence River on boats called coffin ships because everyone on them was either dead or dying of typhus, or ship fever as it was commonly called. Thousands of them arrived on Montreal's shores, and many never made it further, dying of ship fever just days or weeks after arriving.
Hello to your missus and to your 4 children. May they grow healthy and strong.
What stands out most about this monument is the fact that it doesn't stand out at all. Most Montrealers don't even know it's here, and of those who do, not all of them know what it means. There's only an inscription on one side of the rock, and if you don't notice that, there's not much here that lets you know what this rock is here for, except for a plaque that's on the other side of the street in the casino parking lot. If you want to come visit, there's nowhere to park, and you have to cross half a busy boulevard to get here. But on top of all of this, the Irish community has an even bigger problem with this monument.
Michael Keneally is the chairman of the Canadian Centre for Irish Studies and the director of Canadian Irish Studies at Concordia.
So the debate in the Irish community in Montreal is, should the stone be more manifestly Irish? Should it speak more dramatically, more symbolically, more as an icon that would signal some kind of Irish presence?
The most common suggestion in the community to solve this problem is for there to be a Celtic cross like this one near the stone. This is a picture Pigeon has kept as a model for one he hopes to see erected.
We should have an Irish cross there as well. I'm of the opinion that would be a wonderful thing because that would really confirm the fact that it is an Irish cemetery.
You know, as you know, at Concordia we bring in speakers from Ireland, so I have a lot of visitors from Ireland each year, 6, 8, 10, sometimes more. And when I give them a tour, they want to know a tour of Irish Montreal. I take them to various places, but the stone is one of the places. But when I take them to the stone, they always kind of think, that's it?
I'd say the Irish cross would be a true example of, you know, we were here, and we are still here.
The debate over this monument brings to light hard questions. How do you commemorate something that is so vast but so distant? How do you maintain the honor of those who died so long ago while the modern world zooms by? For Concordia Reports, I'm Kelly Taylor.
For more information on the Black Stone Memorial, you can go to the McCord Museum or visit the website at mccordmuseum.qc.ca. That's it for our show. Remembrance Day is on Sunday.
The annual Poppy campaign runs until then, and there will be plenty of memorial parades across the city this weekend.
If you can't make it to an event, you can simply take a moment of silence on 11/11 on Sunday to remember those who died defending our country.
Be sure to tune in on November 30th for our last show before the holidays. I'm Nyla Jinnah.
And I'm Army Moga.
This has been Concordia Reports, Remembrance Edition.
There is no more important decision, not a graver decision of any parliament in Canada and the world than to commit men and women to a war theatre. It's the gravest of all decisions. So parliamentarians are the first ones who are responsible for remembering their contribution.